Welcome to the Excellent Podcast. I am your cinematic host, STEFON WHITAKER, the head honcho of SW Films. And today I have a wonderful guest on the podcast today. I met her when I did a shoot for the Black Student Union at Trine University in my hometown of Angola, Indiana. And then I brought her on one production, music video production, which was a very interesting one. We definitely going to talk about that. But Shay Herbert is here on the podcast today. Shay, hello. Thank you for being here. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. You know how to get you on. I've been seeing a lot of great work that you've been doing the last like year and a half, I want to say, since maybe since I moved out of the Bay Area or since you moved out of Indiana at one point. We'll kind of talk about everything about that. But yeah, I'm glad to have you here. I just want you to go ahead and kind of introduce yourself, speak to your excellence, talk about what you do and stuff like that.
Yeah, so right now, currently, in general, I'm a content creator, usually focus on video, but do some photography and graphic design here and there, but mostly focused on video. Right now, I work at Indiana State University, and I oversee all their video production for athletics. So, yeah.
Okay, nice. Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that going on your Instagram and stuff that you are like running all of that, which is super dope. You know what I mean? I kind of think it kind of aligns well with what you were doing, already at Trine, kind
Mhm.
of how you moved into that realm. So I want to ask you, like, how did you get started in videography? Like what was the whole path to kind of get you inspired to want to start doing that?
Yeah, well, so I started off in radio actually.
Mhm,
um, before radio died.
mhm,
Um, but yeah, we had a radio station on campus at Trine, and I knew I wanted to do some form of communication. Um, that was just my in. I knew the guy who owned the radio station, so I was like, "Can I go on air, once a week and just, talk in between songs and introduce the next playlist or whatever?"
mhm.
So I started off doing that, but then I was like, this isn't really my thing. And wanted to see like what was next and what else I could do. There wasn't really a video department. Our communications department in general just made up of like 10 people, like all together. So
Yeah.
it wasn't really, Trine's an engineering school. So, um, but I got introduced to the videographer at Trine, Colin Meadowcroft, and just sort of started to, see what he was doing. I asked to shadow him a couple times. And I was like, hey, I actually could be really interested in this. So he had me helping him with projects around campus. And then when I really started getting involved in sports videography is when he put me on the sideline at a football game to work the video board camera. And I was like,
Mhm.
this is awesome. Like that I could do this. And I didn't even think it'd be possible to do that as a career um, until I really started to get into it. And I just loved it. So yeah, that's how I got started.
Okay, so in terms of radio, kind of like going back on that a little bit, like
Mhm.
what was the real thing that really turned you off from wanting to do radio? Was it just like the thought of maybe that it can't be a profitable career, or was it just like certain things that maybe certain experiences that you wanted to have that you probably just didn't get, or maybe an experience that turned you off of it? Like what turned you off of wanting to do radio for real?
Yeah, I mean, it just felt like there wasn't going to be any progression with it. And I'm also not the type of person to be like in front of the camera or behind the mic. I'm a very shy person in general. So
Mm.
that also, I was like, I'm not being myself right now. Like, I need to just go get behind a camera and tell other people what to do in front of the camera.
Right.
So,
No, I feel that. I feel like that's kind of the story with a lot of filmmakers, really.
yeah.
They don't want to be out there in front of the world and stuff. I get that. So with trying though, so you're the communication degree.
Mhm.
There was only, you're saying like overall when you were in school, it was only like 10 people in that whole entire degree trying to do anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
It started to grow a little bit towards like my senior year and stuff,
Hmm.
but still very, very small. Like some of my classes, we would have 5 people in class. And it was mostly just like writing classes and PR classes. So there wasn't even really any like digital media or video classes that I could even take to learn more. So I was basically just, we had a Mac lab on campus. And once I knew that I wanted to start doing video stuff, I would be in the Mac lab like until 2 a.m. like every day, just trying to figure out how to use Premiere and how to edit and, looking up stuff on YouTube all the time because there wasn't any classes provided, which they do have classes now, which I think is really cool. And Colin
Yeah.
is teaching them. So, yeah.
Okay, cool. That's what's up. So, all right, kind of going off into my next question then a little bit to kind of delve a little deeper. Like, what was your upbringing? Like, what brought you to Trine University? Like, how did you? Because of course I know you also played basketball, which we're gonna get into that too. But I guess what
Mhm.
was like your upbringing throughout like high school, and how did you choose that choice of like making Trine your university your alma mater? Like, what was that choice?
Yeah. Well, I come from a really small town in Michigan, Pinckney, Michigan. And my
I've never
whole
heard of
life,
that. I've
yeah,
never heard of that.
it's I don't know if you've heard of Brighton, Michigan.
Hmm.
It's by Brighton, Michigan. I always say I'm from Ann Arbor just because it's close to there too, and
Yeah.
I don't really want to say I'm from Pinckney. So, but there's that.
All right. All right.
But super small town. Been an athlete my whole life, just, so I always dreamed of playing college basketball. But actually my junior year of high school, I tore my ACL and missed out on my entire junior year, like summer and high school season, which is like major recruiting year. So going into my senior year, I was just coming back, just trying to get like back into it. Every college that was talking to me prior to my injury stopped talking to me. So I was just looking for something, and actually, our assistant coach knew the head coach at Trine at the time. Um, and he sent him my film. The coach came out to a game. He liked me. I went on 2 visits at Trine, and I went to some other schools as well, but Trine really just stuck out. Like it was like a family, a little community in Angola,
Yeah.
and I loved
Yeah.
it. So,
Had
yeah.
you had ever been to Angola before?
No, no.
Yeah.
We always had tournaments in Fort Wayne, and I remember always passing the Trine University sign. And I was like, oh, I'd never go there.
Damn.
Little did I know.
Little did you know. Yeah, you was about to be over there. Okay, so like when you actually spent time at Trine, when you first, let's just say your freshman year, like
Mhm.
what was your experience like going to Trine and also just being in Angola? Because being someone who's from Angola and I never went to Trine. I remember I forget what year it was, maybe freshman or sophomore year of high school. Like, they would always do tours throughout Trine,
Mhm.
and stuff like that. And to me, Trine was just not an interesting place to me as far as like I didn't want to be in Angola after graduating high school. And obviously, I mean that's what ended up happening, but not me leaving Angola. But like what was it like for you? Like did you if Pinckney's another small town that you grew up in, did it have any similarities to Angola, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, just very similar. There's not much to do outside of, luckily, Trine does like host a lot of stuff for students. So it wasn't like we were ever bored. So that was a difference.
Yeah.
It was also, I thought, what really drew me in on my visits and stuff too is just everyone was so happy to be at Trine. And I was like, I don't know if this is real or not.
Right, right.
But it was literally like a family, like everyone on campus. Like I think at the time, like 80% of the student body was athletes.
Mhm.
So everyone went to each other's games, everyone hung out with each other. Like it was just a nice little community, which I was not used to in high school. So that was different coming into Trine in Angola.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I mean, especially because it was from what that sounds like, it sounds like Trine on the very in the internal part of Trine has the exact same feel, but maybe a little bit more positive than what Angola has in its own little town. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because Angola's so small, and like growing up there, you knew just about everybody, and you knew just about everybody's business, and you knew all that kind of stuff. But it wasn't always like everyone was happy. I mean, people are happy, but some people weren't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool that you had a good experience. Just being in Trine and stuff like that. Kind of back to basketball,
Mhm.
like what how important was that for your life and the time, like going through high school? I'm not sure if you played basketball in like middle school and stuff like that, but was it
Mhm.
almost like, was it kind of like your end goal, or like you wanted to really take basketball as far as you could?
Yeah, for sure. So my dad played at Eastern Michigan.
Mm,
And then my older brother played through high school. So I just would watch him growing up. And I got into it when I was like 5 years old. Like, and like ever since then, it was like, there's no stopping. Like, I'm going to go and play in college somewhere.
yeah,
There was a moment my senior year, though, when I was like, maybe not. Maybe I'll just go to school and just forget it. But I was like, no, it's been my whole life. It's been, you're going to keep playing basketball. So that's what I
yeah,
did. But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I mean, like as far as you live close to University of Michigan.
yeah.
Was that kind of like a dream to like, I want to go play basketball over here?
I'm not a Michigan fan, not
Ah,
at all.
thank God for Michigan.
I'm a Michigan State fan. It was a dream to play at Michigan
Ah,
State
oh
for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. But Michigan
But
State has a, I feel like, a better history of basketball at their school anyway.
yeah, for sure.
So that makes sense. That makes
Yeah.
sense. So when you actually got into play basketball at Trine, like, what was that experience? How was your experience playing basketball at Trine? And like, uh, do you now that you're out of college now, like, do
Mhm.
you do you miss it? What was your experience like? Like, do you feel fulfilled with your time playing basketball as a college athlete at that time?
Yeah, I think I got the best experience I could have gotten out of, playing basketball at Trine because we were a successful team. All of my teammates are now still my closest friends. Like we just went to a wedding 2 weeks ago, and it's literally our whole team was there, and we're all still so close, which is really cool. And I
Yeah,
think unique because a lot of teams, don't stick together like that and don't stay in touch.
yeah,
So, yeah, I loved my experience. I think it was great.
yeah. That's great. With So before then, though, before you actually, on your senior year of high
Mhm.
school, and going into Trine, like, did you was it still in your head, like, what, I want to take this basketball dream as far as I can to go like play as like a professional athlete? Or did you also have in your mind of like, this is what I'm going to study in school? Like, where was the balance between that? Did you have an idea of like, this is what I want to do with this as an athlete, but this is the degree that I'm going to study? Of course, like, talked about the interest in radio, and then it moved into videography. So, I
Mhm.
mean, before really all of that, did you have an idea of like, this is what I'm going to study, and this is what I want to do in this field that I'm studying?
I had no idea what I wanted to study, like
Yeah.
no idea at all. My brother was in advertising, so I was like, maybe I'll do that. I don't know.
Mhm.
Maybe I'll just do business. But I went into trying undeclared because I was like, I'm just going to take some classes and try and figure it out. But what they do is they move the undeclared under like a communication advisor.
Mhm.
Um, so that's sort of how I got introduced to that. But yeah, I had no idea. I took some PR classes my freshman year and I was like, absolutely not, can't do this. Um,
Yeah, yeah, that's
but,
funny.
and then so I really just tried to just go around campus and find every organization that I could possibly find to see what I wanted to do. So,
It's interesting that they put the undeclared under communications. I wonder if that's like just a trying thing, or if that's maybe like, because communications degree it is one of those types of degrees that it feels like you're like, it feels like one of those general kind of like degrees that a lot of people get. Like, communications
Yeah.
or business, a lot of people go for those different degrees at different colleges and stuff like that. Which is interesting because,
Everyone
especially,
hates on him.
yeah,
Everyone
everyone
hates
hates
like
on them. Yeah, which, I mean, it's weird because, well, great. That kind of as, has me want to ask you another question that'll kind of lead into the next question I have. But like with you actually starting to move into videography, what
Mhm.
was like when you decided like, okay, I want to try out video? What was your first step? What was the first thing that you did to kind of move your way towards getting more opportunities in that space and learning more about it? Like, what did you do inside the school and outside the school that helped you in that space?
Yeah. So, like I said before, is I was shadowing Colin around campus. And I remember my first like ever shoot with him is I was holding like a a bounce card like for lighting outside. We were doing a shoot.
Yeah,
And I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing right now, but he said to hold it like this and it's making them look good, so whatever.
yeah, yeah.
But and then I went to the communication department and I started to rent out their cameras, which were just little camcorders like that fit in your hand.
Yeah.
And I just
Yeah.
went around to departments and I was like, who needs a video? And
Yeah.
so just started shooting random stuff. Looking back now, I was like, these videos are terrible. I remember one of the videos I showed you when we were doing that music video shoot, and
Yeah.
I was thinking about it the other day. I was like, why did I show him that?
I honestly I couldn't tell you if I remember what it was. Like if it
No,
was
probably
something for
not,
school, but maybe I have to look back into the messages somewhere and see if I can find it. That's funny.
but yeah, but
But
yeah,
okay, you learned a lot from Colin, which I've heard of Colin. I've never met him personally.
yeah, he's great.
But in terms of just like getting into the point where you started to, because of course you went around to different departments, which is interesting. Like what does that really mean? I guess would you go around to different like, okay, the business degree and the engineers and just like what would be the end goal of like trying to film something for them? Like what were you like? What was it that you were kind of offering? Just like, hey, I want to film maybe documenting you guys' class or something of the sort. Like, what were you kind of offering to them?
Well, so I sort of had it in I beginning of my sophomore year, I believe I took over as the editor in chief for our media team,
Mm,
um, which we didn't do much. But my in was saying
yeah.
I was coming from the media team and just asking for any events that were happening within departments that we
Mm,
could possibly cover. So that's really how I got in. And I mean, Trine's a small community and I played basketball there. So everyone knew who I
mm,
was.
mhm.
So it wasn't that difficult to like get people to be like, oh, you can come to this event and record this, or you can
Yeah.
interview this person because we have this award coming up or something. So I started
Hmm.
off doing that type of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay. So in terms of you finally getting to the point where you were, because I don't know, I think it was probably while you were in basketball, maybe if, off season, I'm not sure, but you started filming more of the sports events that, covered, at Trine. Like, how did you end up getting into that space? I mean, the obvious would be, of course, you're an athlete.
Yeah.
People are like, yeah, absolutely. Come on, let's bring Shay to, come help us out. But you tell me the story. Like, what basically, how did it lead to that?
It really started with football because I mean I couldn't really do anything during basketball season, and basketball
Mhm.
season is all the time. So
Right. Yeah.
football was my really only opportunity to film sports. So yeah, like I
Mhm.
said, Colin got me out on the field, and I just remember because we have a giant video board at the football field at Trine. And I just remember recording a play and getting a good shot and then seeing it replayed up on the screen. And everyone in the stands was like cheering. And I was like, I did that, even though the players did it. But,
Right. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, that's
but
awesome.
yeah, it was cool.
That's great. I mean, and of
Yeah.
course, I don't, before you had actually started doing that stuff, like, was it all, like, was Colin doing any of that stuff for the sports events or was it someone else or how, like, who they have doing that before?
It was just him. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I I don't recall them having like anyone else. They might have had other students come on the sideline here and there, but for the most part, it was him down on the sideline with the camera.
Yeah.
Um, and then I came along and he was
Yeah.
able to actually go up and control the video board while I was down on the sideline.
Right.
So yeah, I sort of took that away off of his shoulders, as
Yeah.
being down. And we would switch back and forth here and there.
Hmm.
He taught me how to, use the controls and, use the video board. So I did some of that as well. And I worked on some of the broadcasts too. So I would be
Yeah.
a little bit all over the place, but
Hmm.
my where I wanted to be was on the field. So
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of all of that, in terms of let's go to like your senior year of college, like when
mhm,
basketball was over, when basketball
mhm.
season was over. First of all, how bittersweet did it feel on your last season with basketball? You know what I mean? Like your last time being in that specific environment with those specific challenges and objectives with your team. Like, how did that feel for you personally?
Well, it was different because it was COVID.
Oh,
So
damn. Right.
it
I'd be forgetting
was,
about that.
yeah.
COVID shit.
So
Yeah.
COVID hit end of my junior season. We were actually in Maine for the Sweet 16, and we were on our way to a practice and got the call that, well, first we were on our phones. We saw the NBA got shut down. So we're like, okay.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
were on our way to practice and got the call that we had to get on a flight the next morning. So
Oh,
that was hard. Funny story though is we didn't end up going to practice, obviously, and we had the rest of the day to do whatever we wanted. And there was a mall near our hotel,
mhm.
and every store was just crazy sales. They were just trying to get rid of everything because they're like, the
Yeah.
world's shutting down. We don't know when we're going to be able to sell anything again.
Yeah.
So, got some good deals. I will say that.
Wow. That's crazy. Yeah.
But
See, that's wild. I always forget about COVID, kind of. That's
yeah,
crazy.
but then my senior year, we didn't end up having like a postseason tournament or anything. So
Mm.
several of our games got canceled. So it was just sort of like, I just want to be done with this. It sort of
Wow.
ruined my senior experience, but
Damn.
it is what it
Yeah, that
is.
sucks. I mean, it's yeah, that's unfortunate. I mean, I couldn't imagine even being in school during that whole time,
Yeah.
just having to go through that. But like when basketball season was over and now you were basically what you had left was like, okay, now I have to really work on what my career is going to be, outside of school. Like, what was your headspace like in that moment? Like, in terms of like, damn, okay, now I got to focus on this now.
I had already been focusing on it really.
Hmm.
Um, and I sort of had an idea that I was going to get a job at Trine right when I graduated. Um,
Hmm.
because they were just telling me that I was.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
which I had mixed feelings about because I was ready to, branch off, get away from Angola, move on, whatever. But it was also a very good opportunity. But with my media team, I was building up a portfolio. I was taking video projects outside of school whenever I did have free time. Um, so I
hmm,
was, mentally I was already there. I was ready to step into the next phase of my life.
hmm,
And then just so happened that Trine was able to open up a position for me. So that was really cool.
yeah. And then yeah, that's when it started getting a little bit more, deeper into you just working with all the different sports, different events and stuff like that. Like, tell me a little bit more about just that experience in terms of you actually graduating from college and then finally just hitting the road working. Like, what was that like? Oop, you there? Oh, you
Sorry.
froze up a little bit.
Yeah.
I should have
I
known after I seen your face just stuck there the whole time. It's all good. Did you hear my question?
I did not. Sorry.
No, no, you're all good. You're all good. what was it like after you graduated from college and you finally got that position at Trine, working with the media team and you're working with all these different sports teams, like what was your experience like in that kind of in that space?
It was a little overwhelming. I mean, we had like 36 sports on campus.
Hmm.
So trying to, and they had never had anyone in my position before. So it was sort of like you're making the position what it's going to be. So I was like, oh, okay. So a little overwhelming in that sense, but also gave me a lot more freedom to go and do whatever I wanted, which was cool. But I thought it was a great experience. Just I wasn't, siloed into one specific thing at the beginning of my career, which I think has been super helpful. But just learning more about, you know, this media industry as a whole. Um, so that was really cool. I was able to be a photographer, videographer, graphic designer, social media manager. I would write some stories sometimes. I was a SID.
Hmm.
So a little bit of everything, which, you know, I didn't always enjoy, but I think in hindsight, it was very beneficial for me.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
yeah. I think it's definitely difficult when you have to, and I've been there. I mean, I've been there in terms of just like, graduating when I graduated from film school and came back to Indiana, and there's just nothing film, video, anything in Angola. Like there's nothing like that really
Yeah.
out there before. So I had to create everything from just thin air,
Mhm.
and it's difficult. But of course, when you're going into a business, you're going, try every college is a business,
Yeah.
right? But when you're going into a place and they're making somewhat of a new department, in terms of just moving things forward with marketing wise, and you have to create things like that from thin air. I understand that can be probably very difficult, besides just the basic things that you might kind of get, like as far as you might go to like Ohio State, for example, or Michigan
Mhm.
State. Well, screw Ohio State. I hate them too. We'll go to Michigan State and we'll be
Mhm.
like, look at what they've done in their maybe marketing department and kind of get an
Mhm.
idea of like, okay, Trine doesn't have any of this. I can, kind of take from what I see from here in this space that's much larger and much more established in that department or whatever, and add this to Trine and then add even more things that none of those places have, and
Mhm.
stuff like that. But I understand how difficult that could possibly be. Um, what do you think was like your what is kind of a twofold question. Like, what was the most difficult experience you possibly had there? Like, if there's one thing that you can particularly pinpoint on that, and then also what was like the best experience that you had while working at Trine?
Mm. Well, I can say the best.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the best is what really got me interested in more of like the long form styled um videos and creating is got to do some documentaries while I was there. Not
Mm-hmm.
like super long ones, but little features that were 20 minutes long.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I got to do two, three of them. One was about a track athlete, track and cross country athlete. She's like 10-time All American. So I got to follow her through her entire last season at Trine, and she ended up winning a
Yes.
national championship.
Wow.
So I got to put
Wow.
that together, and I was like, this is the perfect ending.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was amazing to work on. And then the year after I graduated, the women's basketball team finally were able to go back to the tournament and they went to
Mhm.
the Final Four. So I was
Yeah.
able to follow their journey as well. And then we did a
Yeah.
little documentary piece on them. And it was like my team. I think me and one other girl were the only people who graduated.
Hmm.
So I got to just like hang out with them the whole time and then just document everything. And it was very cool.
Yeah.
So that was the best. The worst, graphic design. I can't do it.
Yeah, graphic design is and that's the thing about content creation. I hate that term kind of because not that I hate the term, but I think that companies, when they need people in their business, they overutilize that term to the absolute, like they overutilize that term a lot because, you know, I think being the jack of all trades, quote unquote, is not a
Yeah.
terrible thing. But I don't think that helps really anybody in the long run. You know what I mean? I think in general, like, when you're able to know and do all of these things, which is great. But when you have to utilize them to kind of move things forward in a marketing aspect for your own business or quote unquote, for a business, I think that you're kind of burning yourself out real fast, and you're not, it's you struggle in a creative sense, and that's why for myself, like, I've always just kind of really stuck to filmmaking. Like, of course, I've done an album once before. I did, an
Yeah.
album, and I've, had interest in doing an album again, but like I had to think to myself, what would be the reason for it? The only reason I did that first album is just because I just felt like I wanted to put out more of I wanted to put out a different version of myself and also show a truer version of myself, just in terms of just being transparent with myself and other people, I guess. Um, but once I don't try to hone in on that. But I think that's tough for a lot of people that have to do that. This is a very tough thing to do because I know damn well I can't do no graphic design. I've created logo once before. I created actually. I have to link it in the YouTube section or somewhere. But I made this little cartoon bear off of Illustrator one time. It was like a tutorial I used, and it was cool.
Uh-huh.
I had a fun time making it. But I'm like, I could not imagine doing this full time.
Mhm.
Hell no. Um, kind of to backtrack a little bit, how did you get into the Black Student Union? Which obviously the Black Student Union, we got the tall, pretty white girl in the Black Student Union. Like when
Yeah.
I went, matter of fact, when I was in when I went there to film, I forget even how I even got connected with them, to be honest. I do not remember at
Uh-huh.
all how I got connected. But shout out to all of them. But I do remember you were the only person, because I remember I asked, I was like, hey, is there anybody here that seems to be interested in like film or videography? And none of them folks was interested except
Oh
for
no. Oh,
Shay
no.
Herbert was the only one. I said, all right, cool. I said, and I think that's obviously when we first met.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a project at the time because I was kind of just getting ready to leave Indiana after shooting that, I believe.
Mhm.
But like leave from I was in Indiana for like 3 damn months during that time. I had a breakup that made me just stay in Indiana for a damn minute.
Mhm.
But and then I went back to Indiana, and then I remember the next time I came back is when I brought you on the music video.
Mhm.
Um, how did you end up in Black Student Union? Is this the
Um,
winded answer or question?
yeah. So my best friend Kelsey, she was sort of like a co-founder, I would say, for it. I mean, it's always been trying to be a thing at Trine. But with everything that happened in 2020, I think that really was able to allow it to jumpstart and actually become an organization that people were actually, it's trying. It's no secret, it's a conservative school. So
Conservative
um
town, yeah, absolutely.
conservative town, yeah. Yeah, I really saw a lot of that during 2020 as well, during because
Yeah.
we hosted some protests
Hmm.
downtown in the Circle in Angola, and that was wow, that was
Yeah.
crazy.
That was
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
wild time. Of course, I wasn't living in Angola at the time. I was in California, and that was already a whole bunch of stuff over there. But yeah, seeing
Yeah.
it out here, just kind of seeing what I heard from Angola, and then a lot of the different things I seen in Fort Wayne too. It was an interesting time. So that makes sense that it got created around that time. But
Yeah.
since you're doing content creation, videographer and everything, like were you like helping like kind of create some different content to help market for them and everything?
Yeah, so my best friend, she was like, you're good at this. They're
Mhm.
looking for someone who is passionate about the organization, who's willing to help, market it. So me and one other girl actually teamed up and started to help kickstart that. Um, it had its own struggles, but we did the best we could to
Yeah,
get it going. I actually don't even know if they're still an organization at Trine, but I
yeah.
hope that they are.
Hopefully,
Um,
yeah.
I'm not
Hopefully.
too sure though, because I know there was some other issues going on too. So,
Yeah. I do hope that they still have a organization. I haven't really seen anything on like the Instagram page or anything like that. Um,
yeah.
so yeah, I would hope because I think Trine does need that. One thing I'll say about Trine that, I guess I can appreciate is like, growing up in Angola, like I was the only damn black person damn near in the whole entire, town. My family, the Day family, which is my mom's surname, think that's the right word, surname, whatever, but maiden name. That was we were the first black family to live in the town of Angola. They had like Fox Lake, which a lot of black people lived at in Fox Lake. And they never wanted black people to live in the town of Angola. But my grandfather and my Uncle John and all that, the first people to live in the town of Angola. First black people to live in the town of Angola, and I
Wow.
think growing getting older and coming, I come back home at least, two, three times a year. And
Hmm.
I be seeing more black people, more Asian people, more Hispanic people.
Hmm.
And like, honestly, I be reacting like them racist. I'm like, what y'all doing here? I ain't gonna lie, I do because I'm just like, I'm surprised sometimes when I see that like more like because I love Angola. I've been documented saying that, now that I've, spent my time away in Angola, 2020, I think was a huge, I mean, that was a huge year in general for everybody,
Hmm.
but that year really made me somewhat appreciate a bit of the things in Angola, kind of. And it's a weird way. It's almost hard for me to explain, but dealing with some of that BS that I've seen in Angola, uh,
Hmm.
I felt more compelled to try to spark change there, and
Yeah.
seeing all these different kind of people in Angola, and I know that really comes from trying most of the time. Sometimes, you just find people moving into the town for work opportunities, which, I don't personally think that Angola has the a lot of interesting jobs for people to get into besides, manufacturing or welding and some sort of in that space. But, Trine definitely has brought so many different people there. But I also believe that a lot of people from Trine, whoever, probably aren't going to stay in Angola. They probably want to go somewhere else, especially if they have, the opportunity in the engineering degree, to branch out to a much bigger market for that, really. So,
Hmm.
um, I do get surprised when I see as much as people now. Just like, damn, I never grew up seeing this. Never grew up seeing this. But um, in terms of like, you finally making like a decision to leave Trine in terms of, working there, which is kind of still fairly recent, I believe. I mean, how long has it been since you left working there, like left Trine completely?
Um, say like a year and a half.
Yeah, a year and a half. What
Yeah.
was when you left? Now, I want to say when you were getting ready to leave Trine, I think that might have been the time. Well, first off, I'm missing an important piece to us connecting. It was
Hmm.
okay. So when I met you from there, and I maybe reached back out to you when I was home some other time, and I said, "Hey, I got a music video to shoot," and I said, "Hey, I need a PA. Come hop on." I remember that particular shoot. I hated how that shoot went down low key because it was just not the type of shoot I wanted to bring you on. I wanted to bring you on to something that had a little bit more, a little bit more budget to it, a little bit more camaraderie to it.
Hmm.
I think maybe you showed up that very first. You showed up both of those 2 days that we shot, but I remember when
Yeah.
you showed up that first day, it was literally just me and you as far as crew.
Yeah.
And I think I had you shoot a little bit of some behind the scenes like photos or something like that because the person that was supposed to do it, like their tire got flat and they like didn't show up to set, and I was a little pissed off about that. So I was all right, cool. I just need you to do this for right now. But I just remember that shoot was just like that rapper. He released it. He got some pretty decent views off of it, but he doesn't
Mm.
even make music no more.
Really?
No, he done making music, but I don't know. Like what when I brought you on that, what was your experience like for those 2 days? You can be honest because like you can say, "Hey, man, I hated that shit," or like because that was definitely not the best shoot that the best shoot that was put together. I'll say that.
Well, Okay, well, I was disappointed because you had a shoot like I think the weekend before in Fort Wayne. It was like downtown Fort Wayne. It looked really
Yeah,
cool.
yeah,
And
yeah,
you invited me on that one too, but I forget I had something. I couldn't make
yeah,
it. And then I showed up to this one
yeah.
and I was just like, "Oh, what am I getting myself into?"
Yeah, see, I hated that because, man, because here's the thing for me, especially at that time, that was what year was that? Was that 2021? That was 2021.
Yeah.
And in 2021, I had, as far as outside of just the stuff I was doing for my company, I think I had a lot of stuff going on in terms of just, the bigger budget stuff. That year was the year I worked with Kendrick and worked with a bunch of different stuff, TV shows and stuff. But, so I wanted to just give the best like experience and opportunity to learn as possible. But
Mhm.
with musicians, with rappers, you don't always get that opportunity. Some things are very like fast paced. You have to move. You have to, make compromises, stuff like that. With that shoot, it was just so small, and in particular, like I want to say that was my first time working with that artist too. So I didn't really know what to expect about who he was going to be as a person. And I think at
Mhm.
that time, I had already been waiting quite a bit for like a deposit or something like that from the dude. So it was just not well put together, and I hated that. I think the shoot that you're talking about that I did before that was what was that? It was
It
probably
was
the
a
shoot
music video.
yeah. Oh, it might have been with Dion because during that time I did like four different music videos that time that I was there.
Mhm.
I think it was with Dion, and that one actually had a pretty. That one was different. That one was more set together right because I actually had to pull in a lot of my own money and resources to get that shoot off the ground. So I think that was the one. Dion's Woe music video. I think is what it's remember what it's called. But damn, yeah, I really wanted to get you on something different. you know,
No, it was good. I still learned a lot. Like it was because I had never done anything like that before. So it was cool to see, your process of how you go
yeah,
through those. Um, and yeah, just in general, like what those types of shoots entail, even though you didn't have a full crew with you, but
yeah.
you were talking to me about like what people usually do on set,
Mm,
and even though it
mm,
was just us, but yeah,
yeah.
I still learned a lot from it, even though I remember it being freezing as well,
Oh
like
yeah, it was cold.
so cold.
Especially that first, well, probably both days, but like I remember because the first day, yeah, it was just you and we were shooting at like I think his home.
Hmm.
And for the people who are wondering what this music video was, I'll link it in the YouTube and the Spotify and everywhere else. It was I forget the dude's name, and I forget the name of the song too, but it'll be linked down below, y'all. I do forget what the hell it was called, but it'll be linked down below so people can watch it and check it out.
Uh,
Overall, there were some cool kind of moments in the video, but yeah, the second day I had the homie Guy pull up, who was the other PA on the shoot.
mhm.
And then you showed up, you were there, and it was just the three of us crew wise. And then
Yeah,
shooting like some performances with him. And then I don't know, nothing, we had went to like downtown Van Wert, Ohio, I believe is where it was at.
yeah, yeah.
And it was just such a it was an experience, and it was an experience for sure. But I want to say, like, first off, I'm glad that you took some sort of knowledge and things from it because I definitely, especially when I'm working with new people, and most of the shoots that I do for my company have always been pretty skeleton crew, But when it's just like one or two other folks there, it's like, all right, I'm going to try to teach as much as I can, but at the same time, I have to be kind of zoned in on my own to get this damn video just finished overall. Since I'm the one with the camera in my hand, everybody else is, doing the assisting me. I just got to get it done. So, and I think before I wanted to bring you on a couple of projects after that, but I think this is the time when you were maybe moving, I want to say, which I
Mhm.
remember you came to the Bay Area at one point
Yep.
to visit your brother, I think was living over there, right? Or something like that.
He
Um,
was living in LA, and then we were making our way up to Seattle. So
oh, okay, yeah, yeah. And you guys were staying in Oakland, I think. I
yeah, like
think.
West Oakland.
Yeah. See, yeah, y'all shouldn't have stayed over there. Yeah, West Oakland, crazy. West Oakland, East Oakland, Oakland is wild. But
It was the best deal though, but yeah, it was interesting.
look, I'm just glad that y'all was safe because they don't be playing in West Oakland or Oakland in general. But like when you showed up, I remember I think you had reached out to me and you're like, hey, like, I want to see if there's any productions I can, possibly hop on. And I
Mhm.
remember at the time, around that time, I was actually working with Steph Curry for that was like my third time working with him or something like that. And what was it? I forget it was for a company called Rakuten, who Steph does a lot of has basically a partnership with for advertising. But um, I remember I was like, okay, I'm gonna see if I can try to get Shay onto this. And I remember my homegirl Alba, shout out to Alba. She was the production coordinator on that shoot, and I kind of hit her up last minute saying, hey, I have somebody who I would want to get on this shoot if possible. And she's like, okay, well, look, if they get on this shoot, they're gonna have to drive the production truck to set. And I was like, man, honestly, in that particular position, I just did not want to put you through that because production truck PA, right, is something that I always would skip if they ever asked me. I never want to. I've done it a couple times, and
Uh-huh.
then I hated doing it, like driving like a 16-foot box truck with all of the
Oh,
production gear through Oakland and have it there at a specific time and do this and do that and the third. Like, I feel like that would be putting way too much pressure on you, and like I fuck with you too much to put you through that. Like, I was just like, I can't do that. So I was
I
like, all right,
appreciate
well,
that. It
yeah,
would have
and
been cool, but I would have been stressed.
yeah, nah, there's it's just, especially if don't really know the layout of Oakland or just that part of California, like I was just like, nah, I don't think that would be the right one to put you on. But and I forget, like, I think when you came down, it was either, I also want to say maybe, I think I want to say that the project happened before you even showed up, I believe at the time. I want to say it maybe happened like right before you came out to
Mhm.
to Oakland. But I remember meeting up with you and your brother. We walked around, Lake Merritt in downtown Oakland.
Mhm.
And we just, talked a little bit. I thought that was cool, especially because how I look at it back then, like when I was living by myself in Oakland in the Bay Area. I live in LA now, but when
Oh,
I was
nice.
living out there, I always appreciated the people that would come to visit me. And of course, you weren't like visiting me, but kind of in a way, I guess. And you're out there staying for a little bit. I looked at that as a pretty cool moment, because I always love people showing people around the Bay and around San Francisco and stuff like that. And of course, it was just cool to just walk around Lake Merritt, talk to you about what you were going through and, as far as career wise. I think maybe that was the time that you were getting ready to leave Trine.
Mhm.
So going into that specific space, what was the decision like to leave Trine from doing videography and being the media team there? And you were getting ready to move to Seattle, I think, at some point. As you were saying, making that drive up there.
Yeah.
Uh, what was the plan there? What was the plan to move to Seattle and all that kind of stuff?
Well, I did move to Seattle for a
Mhm,
summer.
mhm,
But yeah, I just really wanted to get out of D3 athletics in general. Um, it just, not for me.
mhm.
So, just like we said earlier, you're doing 100 different jobs. So I was like, I can't do
Mhm.
this anymore. So I was looking for opportunities, um, and just talking to different people. And my brother actually is a pastor out in Seattle. And he knew the director of PR for the Seattle Storm, because he happened to go to my brother's church. So he's like, if you want, like I can get you guys connected and he'll be more than happy to talk to you, I'm sure. So I was like, yeah, sure, why not? Basketball person. So yeah, of course I want to talk to
Yeah,
him.
yeah.
Um, so I ended up having a phone call with him. Oh, I'm trying to remember when that was. I want to say like January.
Mhm.
And we talked for like an hour on the phone, and he was just asking me all kinds of questions, telling me about what he does. And then he told me about the grad program at the University of Washington. He's like, I think this is something that like could honestly be very beneficial for you, get you connected with bigger schools, um, blah, blah, blah. And so he told me to go check it out. I checked it out, applied. And then when I got the interview, I called him. I was like, "Hey, just let you know, I'm interviewing to get into this
Mhm.
grad program at the University of Washington." He's like, "Oh, that's awesome. If you end up coming out here, let me know. We'll get
Mhm.
you out to a game and stuff." So interviewed, got into grad school, and then so it was a hybrid program. So the whole summer, like 6 weeks, we were in person all day, every day for those 6 weeks,
Mhm.
which was a lot,
I
but
bet. Yeah.
it was cool. And then the rest of it's only a year program, so the rest of the year, once the fall started, their quarter system, once the fall started, it was a hybrid, so mostly online, excuse me, and just had to go back out to Seattle like every quarter, like just for a weekend.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so I ended up moving out to Seattle in May of 2022. I think that's right.
I want to say because I think 2022 is when you came to visit when I seen you
Or maybe
in Oakland.
2023. I'm not 100% sure. I think
Mhm.
2023. Um, anyways, moved out there in May. I originally thought I was going to stay the whole year out there because I got an internship with UW football and I worked with them on some stuff. Summer was slow
Yeah.
because it's, not football season.
Mhm.
But then, things happen and I just wanted to come closer to home again. So, before the summer ended, I let them know, like, I'm not going to be able to do this internship. And I probably applied to 200 jobs, just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I need to find something else, but I need to be closer to home. And I knew I was still able to get my degree and do that at the same time, so I was like, yeah, I'm going to do that. Um,
Yeah.
Felt bad leaving them though, because it was so cool. And then they ended up going to national championship game, and I was like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah. Washington. Yeah, they were good that year.
They were very
Man.
good.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then so Indiana State reached out to me on my way back from Seattle, and literally the day after I got back, like I got to Fort Wayne, dropped my stuff off, and drove down to Terre Haute, and
Mhm.
interviewed the next day. So yeah, it
Wow.
all worked out. So
Yeah. I mean, what was it like for you, like the thought of maybe just, come back to Indiana? Was that like a weird thought to you at all, or did it not really even matter at that point?
yeah, I mean, because this isn't where I want to ultimately end up at.
Hmm.
So I was like, I'm really going back to Indiana. But, you know, I was like, it's not permanent, so it'll be
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you like Seattle though, just overall in terms of just, the city and just the environment over there?
Yeah, I don't think I could ever move back and like actually
Really?
live there. I mean, it's great. It's a great city. I
I
enjoy
love
it.
Seattle. Seattle's cool.
Yeah, I just not from probably because of the weather. The weather is really not my thing.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Like I think I might me and my girlfriend might take a trip to Seattle for New Year's Eve, maybe. And I haven't been back to Seattle since 2020, but I really enjoyed Seattle when I went. But the time I went though, it was like it was no rain. It was all shiny, sunny,
yeah.
hot. It was good. But yeah, I can understand probably like being there for, the time that you were there, that rain and all that kind of shit definitely didn't make nothing much better.
Yeah, no, the summers are great. Summer is like 75 sunny every day, but
Yeah.
the rest of the year you don't see the sun.
Yeah,
So,
that's wild. Yeah, and it's expensive too. Washington, that's expensive. It's Seattle is not too far off from like maybe the Bay or like LA prices. Probably closer to LA prices. Maybe. I don't
it
know.
it was pricey. I was renting a room for like 850 a month for just a room.
Yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I can't do this.
Can't do it. Can't do
No.
it.
It
Yeah.
was
I live in Long Beach right now. And Long
really
Beach, yeah, it's 2,400 a month is what
my
I pay.
brother lives in Long Beach.
For real?
Yeah.
Oh shit. Well, see, look, you have to pull up one time. You have to pull up. Long Beach. I like Long Beach. I really don't like LA all that much, but
Yeah.
Long Beach is one of the towns that one of the cities I like in LA. But you kind of
Nice.
answered that question in terms of like, how you transitioned into, being the digital media coordinator at ISU.
Hmm.
When you got that job at Indiana State, which, I've never been to Terre Haute. One of my closest friends growing up in like, school and everything, he lives there in Terre Haute currently. But
Okay.
what was it like? What has it been like at being the digital media coordinator, which sounds like a very, prestigious position for the sports teams and stuff over there? Like, how has that been like for you?
At first, well, I started on homecoming week last year. So it was like I started and they were like, okay, here's 10 projects we need you to do by the end of the week. And I was like,
Yeah.
I don't even know your name.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was a little overwhelming at first. I mean, any job that you first start out, it's going to be a
Yeah.
little overwhelming. But it's been great. Again, like
Yeah.
similar to Trine, they've given me the freedom to do like whatever I wanted. So,
Yeah.
it was cool that I had that experience before. And now I have an idea coming in, like, this is what I want to do, like with
Yeah.
this. And so being able to do that. And then our teams, I came on a very historic year, like for our sports teams. They just did amazing last year. So
Yeah.
I started off on a very high, going to NIT championship with the men's basketball team. Our
Mhm.
baseball team went to a regional, year before went to super regional. So it was cool being able to, I was going to, I think my concern coming, like leaving Washington was I'm leaving like this huge atmosphere, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to get that because this is a mid-major. But with the success of our basketball team, like I was covering and being like the main person creating content for these gigantic sporting events that like
Yeah.
so many people were watching what I was making. So it
Right.
worked out. So it was pretty
Absolutely.
cool.
And I think it'll only get better, because, right now you're in that resume building phase, you know what I mean? And I think, for me, as a person who's been in the industry for it'll be nine years next year, like, when I came back from college and back to Indiana, all I was doing was building up a resume,
Mhm.
and when I moved to the Bay Area and started working, just continuously building up a resume. And then me living in LA now, even though my resume has, by the time I moved to LA, my resume was already what my resume has been. But, I just don't know too many people here. So,
Mhm.
still building up a resume in a way, still just trying to network and connect with people and stuff like that. And, it takes time, but I feel like for you, the next thing will have to be like a major, what's that? What's the damn team Caitlin Clark plays for? Indiana Fever. Next
Yeah.
time it's going to be, hey, we want Shay to shoot for us now. Like there's the sky is the limit. Or the sky is not the limit. Everything is, you have unlimited potential, or well, limited potential, but you have there's so much more that you're going to be able to experience as you build it up. And I think that's just the main reminder for yourself as you continue to go through and just create all these amazing things for these people right now, and you just get better at it, each time. Um, what would you say? What is the overall dream slash goal for you with your career in filmmaking and videography and just everything that you're doing right now? What is the overall goal for yourself?
Yeah. It's been changing every day lately.
Yeah.
Um, because right now I'm still covering every sport. We don't have nearly as many sports as what Trine had. We only have like 11 teams, which is much better to cover. But still not exactly. I want to be focused on one team specifically if I can. So whether that be at like a Power Five school or a professional team, being able to just focus on one team, one sport, one season. Because I feel like I'm still being pulled in all different directions right now. And I'm not able to like fully put myself into all my projects because I have to move on to the next one because there's an event happening over here and over here at the same time. So ultimately, my goal is right now is to get to that next level and just being able to work with one team. Um, but also have been considering doing more of the documentary style type of stuff. I think that's really cool. And I think I've always had a certain connection to those types of films. Um, so to be able to create those, it just I love it and I love to do it. And the more opportunities I can have to do that, the better. I was actually talking with one of my high school friends. She works at Clemson now,
Oh, wow.
and she was saying that they have a department that's like their creative department is, 100 people, but
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
one specific part of that is just all long form content, like documentary style, following the teams around, which I think that would be really cool if I could get into like that. It's super niche, but that type of role.
Mhm.
Um, we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. I mean, yeah, I think even more since football season started again, I've never done anything sports related outside of the bigger commercials I've done, which a lot of the times I've worked with these athletes, like what I did with Steph Curry recently for his TV show, Mr. Throwback. You know, I was what they call, a first team PA. So I'm basically there around the talent all the time. And since Steph is our number one, I'm there with him all the time. Plus, I already had that rapport with him. Um, working with him a few different times before, but even more this time, just because we had more time to conversate, joke around, and get to I got to tell him about Angola. That was a crazy experience. He gave me that bottle of bourbon that I probably will never open up. But like you know, I haven't done too much in terms of shooting in the space with these athletes outside of these commercials. Like all the
Mhm.
stuff I've done with like the NBA players like Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, stuff like that. It's always been, in a commercial aspect. It's never been like, covering something of their season or anything like that.
Yeah.
Same thing with the football players I worked with. But I've seen a lot. Like I'm an Alabama fan as far as football goes. I love the Crimson
Okay.
Tide, and even though they're struggling right now, uh, I follow their content creator, the director of communicate or media that they have on the football team. And I mean, they like just seeing what I'm seeing. I'm like, these dudes are doing the damn thing, and I think that would be a cool job to do if I was gonna like, kind of move into a full time space for a little bit, and just have some consistent work. Or even I don't know if you've seen them on Instagram, but Illinois football team, they have their
Yes.
media. Have you seen those
Yes.
videos?
Yes. They're
Those
so good.
videos are so fucking good. They're amazing. And it's like,
I was trying to mimic some of them actually with our football team, but
yeah,
yeah, but
you could
they're
try it. You could try it, you know.
yeah.
But like literally, I mean, because I seen a video they posted the other day, or maybe it was a video I just saved because I saved like two of their videos because I'm like, damn, I actually like I kind of take some inspiration from that too. But like the ASMR thing, I've never really done much of that, but I know
Mhm.
I think I've created one ASMR for a client before, but for how they do it, I'm like, damn, like these are really, really good. And I think just in general, the way that they've marketed stuff has made them almost a better football team. They've only
Yeah.
had, I think Illinois has only had one loss. They just beat Michigan last week. So
Mhm.
Illinois football team is hey, you got to give it up to them. They're doing their damn thing,
No, they
So
have. I stalk their page all the time because I'm like, I just need to watch these videos because they're so good. They're
Yeah, I
so good.
mean, and I think that's the cool part about doing what you do is that there's so much that you can do for these teams. And I think the long form documentary stuff is definitely important as well. Like, I think for Alabama they have the saying that their quarterback Jalen Milroe created called "Lank," let a naysayer know, and they've been interviewing him and doing these long form episodes, or probably like 10 or 15 minute episodes of just things about Jalen Milroe, things about the season and stuff like that. There's so much stuff
Mhm.
that you could do, and since that you're like you said, kind of creating a whole lot of stuff from scratch for them. I mean, there's so many opportunities that can kind of come to what you can create with ISU for sure.
Mhm.
Um, a couple questions came to mind that I didn't have written that I want to ask. Uh, did outside of doing all the stuff with like sports and the documentary kind of stuff, like was there ever an interest in any other kind of, like any other kind of forms of, I guess, media, like in terms of music videos or, commercials, films? Like, has there been any other interest in that space?
Yeah, I actually almost went to film school. I don't know if I
Okay.
talked to you about it. But at the time when I was trying to
Yeah.
figure out like where I was gonna go after trying, I actually visited Chapman University. It's in
Okay.
California,
Okay. Yeah.
in like Orange, California.
Oh, yeah.
But
Okay. It's kind of close to where I'm at now in Orange
yeah,
County. Yeah, that's close. Yeah.
but I visited there. Well, I was visiting my brother, and then I
Mhm.
went over to the school and got a tour and stuff. So I was looking into film school, but I didn't know necessarily like if I could make. I just didn't have confidence that I could make a living doing that. Like I was like, I
Yeah.
don't know what I'm doing, and I feel safe with sports, so I'm gonna just keep going in that
Yeah.
direction.
Yeah.
So, but it was cool to see their like the school and what the kinds of
Hmm.
things they had. Like they had so many sets and animation
Hmm.
studios and all this kind of different stuff. It was really cool to see and tour, but
Yeah.
yeah, I just was like, yeah, probably not for
It's
me.
tough because, I mean, look, as somebody who's been working freelance for 9 damn years, it's definitely tough. Even though, I'm pretty well off with the opportunities that I've got. It's definitely you have a lot of mountain climbing to do, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You have a lot of It's a huge uphill battle. I mean, for me right now, outside of doing stuff for SW Films, which is all kind of a building process, right now in terms of keeping things a little bit quiet and then just releasing things when I'm ready. I'm also hopping on different shows. Like yesterday, I worked on SWAT, the TV show SWAT, for one day, and then I've been working on TED season 2 for this whole month. And before that, I worked on a feature with Paula Patton and Keith David and Loretta Devine. Like there's just you hop on different things on all these different projects, and depending on the position, it can be it can be how do I say it can be fine, it can be profitable, but
Mhm.
sometimes if you're just working as a PA, you're gonna have to work a lot of days to really, kind of, get some sort of, get some sort of benefit back, truthfully, in terms
Yeah.
of like benefit in terms of in the financial way, I guess. Like you can definitely get benefited from, the people that you meet, the networking aspect of it. But it definitely is difficult, and I think in general, if you have a niche that that you excel at and that you thrive in that space, why not stay in that space? But at the same time, like, you're not confined to just, what's it called? Um, Being in that. Like you could, like, outside of work, I'm sure right now on a day that you have off, how many days do you usually have off?
Maybe one.
Damn. Never mind. No, I was kidding. But one day off, one day off, you could just say, you know what? I'm going to create a short film with
Mhm.
with one of my best friends, with like the resources that you have that you don't got to pay for, and you just create that. You know what I mean? And
I've
you
been
just do
wanting
that.
to. I definitely have been wanting to. I actually said that last spring that I was going to do that over the summer, but also summer is my time to travel and get away from, work.
Work,
So
yeah.
I was like, I want to do that, but I'm
Yeah,
also
and you
trying to
definitely, yeah.
breathe.
Yeah, no, I feel that. So actually that brings up another question. During, of course, the like sports all around, especially this 11 teams you're covering, you probably don't have much of a break in between seasons and in between sports. Is there ever a moment, like kind of how the school system goes, like summertime, people have a long break? Do you ever get any of that at all? Like a break, like
Summer we get
yeah,
our break. But I mean, baseball goes into June and then basketball starts again in July. So you get like a couple weeks where you'd have nothing to cover. So,
yeah,
and then
yeah.
basketball,
Woo.
it's just practice, but still, you still have to cover it.
Yeah.
So yeah, not really too many days off,
Woo.
but it's okay.
Yeah, that's good, man. That's something. I mean, hopefully, at least you know what, you're paying your bills, you're investing in different things.
Which is
Um,
another reason
yeah,
why I want to get into the, one team, one season, one sport, because,
yeah, that makes
I
sense.
wouldn't
Yeah,
have that issue. But
yeah,
yeah.
for sure. And then what was the other question I had for you? Uh, Damn, I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to remember. I don't even remember, but well, I guess kind of a little bit more on the commercial side. Like, would you not want to shoot for, do a like, for instance, like I did when I was home last in Indiana. I was home in like late July, early August. I shot 4 different commercials when I was out there, and I wish I would have known that you was in Indiana. I probably would have, but then of course with your schedule, you probably won't have a whole lot of time maybe to hop on those things. But and also I want to make sure to get you something that's comparable to what it is that you get paid now. At least for a day, at least for like 1 or 2 days of
Oh,
work. But in terms of like, has there ever been any interest in that and wanting to shoot for like another business and stuff like that, or maybe there's probably some non-compete situations in there about that in terms with you working with ISU. I'm not sure, but
yeah, no, not really. I actually worked for a news station in Fort Wayne. I worked for Wayne TV
oh damn, that's
for
cool.
a little bit. I was an intern, so I didn't really do much, but
Yeah.
video production intern. So I went on a couple of commercial shoots, and yeah, I mean, granted, that probably isn't anything like what you were doing, because it was just news commercials.
New, yeah, which is yeah, I know what you
So
mean.
yeah, so
Yeah, yeah.
but yeah, no, really no interest in that as far as I don't know. I mean, it would be cool to go on a shoot, but like as far as actually going and doing it myself, like seeking out that commercial and creating it, yeah,
Mhm.
no, not really.
Yeah, I feel it. I feel it. Well, hold on. Where was that? There was one kind of question too that popped up, which I didn't really ask, but like, yeah, I guess maybe I did. In terms of like encountering any kind of struggles of just being a videographer in Angola, Indiana, or really, I'm just going to say without in general, because was there ever any doubt, I guess is the real question, like any doubt in terms of like maybe from the external side of things, like maybe from family and friends about you hopping into this specific field? Because I know for me, when I said I was going to film school, I had a lot of people hate on me for doing that. And for whatever reason. Now I'm pretty sure nobody, I mean, if they do hate on me, whatever. But like a lot of people who did hate on me ate a lot of their fucking words. I mean, that's just how it went. But
Mhm.
in terms of for you, because I know film and communications and video, like all that stuff, a lot of people do not realize it can be profitable. You know,
Yeah.
did you get any of that kind of response in doing that at all?
Yeah. Well, just in general, like when I told people I was a communication major, they're like, "Oh, you're just doing that because it's easy." And I'm like, "Well, no."
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
but also a comment my mom made, and she probably doesn't even remember that she made this to me, but I remember. Um, she was
yeah.
like, "Why are you going to school just to be a photographer?" She's like, "What do you have to go to school for that for? You just have to, press the button, click and
Mhm.
take pictures." And I was like,
Yeah.
you don't understand."
Right. Yeah. It's much bigger than that. Especially if you want to be a successful
Right.
photographer, a successful videographer. Yeah. I mean, yeah, no. Everything, every skill in life, there's certain levels to it. There's the intermediate, and then there's the professional, and then there's the elite, or whatever.
Yeah.
So I mean, I get I'm not sure how old your parents are. I know my parents are in that boomer age, and I mean, my family definitely believed that I could do it because they kind of helped instill my love for film in me anyway. But um, yeah, a lot of people doubt those arts and how to make money in those spaces. It's quite a shame of that. So how did you respond to any sort of like, I guess negative comments or anything about, you hopping into, the field of videography? Like, how did you respond to that? Did any of that stuff ever affect you to where you kind of maybe doubted yourself in doing that stuff?
If I ever doubted myself, it wasn't because of that. Um, no, I mean, I knew like even before I got involved in this, like I probably would have said the same thing because, I just didn't know. Like, I was probably like, oh, that's like, even when I first started out, I was like, oh, I can't make a career out of that. Like, I'm not going to be able to it's fun to do, but I'm not going to be able to like do that. Because I just had no idea. So I didn't hold it against anyone.
Mhm.
I know what I'm doing, so it's okay.
Yeah,
But
that's good.
yeah,
Yeah.
obviously there was still like self-doubt here and there, but that's just, I think, mostly because I was just trying to learn everything on my own and still trying to learn everything on my own pretty much. Like
Mhm.
there it was like, I mean, in Angola there isn't any, like you said, there's no video presence, there's none of that. So I
Yeah.
had nothing to like look up to, I guess, besides Colin, who was great. He was a great mentor for me. So
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's tough. I mean, like that's how it was when I came back home. There was nobody. I mean, and plus there's also if there was people that I seen from like Fort Wayne or, or maybe, like from Angola, there was of course Colin was there, which I kind of knew a little bit of him when I came to Angola. But then also there was the hell's his name? Forgetting his damn name. Trent something. He was on the podcast last season. I'll link his podcast below. But there's a few people that was there. But I mean, no offense to those folks, but it just wasn't. It's not really the type of work that I wanted to do. I wanted to be on the bigger stage with what we all kind of know filmmaking to be. Having movies in theaters and
mm,
having all types of eyes seeing these type of things, and more artistic stuff instead of the kind of I guess straight and narrow. But it takes it's hard to find inspiration in those places, and I think really learning all that you can and just kind of being maybe this is more speaking of myself, but sometimes you really got to be crazy as hell to do some shit like this. You have to be crazy as hell because it is a tough career to go into, and
yeah.
as a person who's tried to mentor a few people that had interest in, being photographers or actors or, YouTube sensations, all this kind of stuff, I always tell them like, look, you really have to have a real passion to do this. Like, you can't come in here and just instantly start thinking about the money. Like, I get it. It's easy to start thinking about money when you see stuff like that, but at the same
Yeah.
time, it's like, do you know how difficult it is to make it to these levels? Like, trust and believe it's difficult as hell. Like,
Yeah.
I'm very blessed to have all the opportunities I have gotten, especially just this year being such a small and kind of really quiet year. The strikes post strike has still made LA and many other places just not have a whole lot of work. But this is probably this is the year where I've had the most interactions with a lot of like celebrities and a lot of, stuff like that where these opportunities have still given me a lot of really good money and a lot of really good just experiences moving forward project to project. So it's you just got to keep going no matter what.
Mhm.
Got to keep going. What is next for your excellence? What is next for Shay Herbert in the journey that you are on? What is next for you? What is the plans that you have going moving forward?
Still trying to figure it out. Trying to do some projects outside of my job here at ISU, I feel like is going to be a big thing for me. With looking for that next step, whether it be a bigger school or a professional team, I'm not too sure, or, a different organization. Um, yeah, I don't know. I want to just try different things, I guess.
Mhm.
Like you talked about making short films and stuff. Like I want to do that, even if it never goes anywhere. Like I want to try it.
Mhm.
Just to try it. I don't know. I'm just trying to figure it out day by day.
Yeah.
We'll see. I'm just trying to get better at what I'm doing, every day, just so that I can make that next step.
Absolutely. And look, I can already everybody has a story to tell, and I know you have a story to tell, and I know that once you kind of just obviously you're working in a very just a different environment to where you're having to put out a lot of different things out daily. But once you kind of have a moment to really just breathe and sit back and figure it all out in terms of what you want to do in terms of making a movie or whatever kind of project, passion project of yours, like you can definitely do it. You know what I mean? I already know that. And I feel like when I see the thing on Instagram, oh, there's a story about this basketball player and she did this and did that. Look, it's only a matter of time, so you just gotta keep putting out the work, keep putting out the results. and just learn
Mhm.
every single day. Don't forget, you're going to be a student for the rest of your life. That's just how it goes.
Absolutely.
Um, where can people find you? What are your socials? How can people reach out to you to watch and see your excellence and support you? What are the socials you got?
Oh, I don't even know my social handle. Hold on. Well, one moment. Underscore shots by Shay, SHAY is my content page. I don't really post a lot of my videos on there. I will repost them on my stories, but usually all my work goes out on the team pages. Um, I try to here and there put some of it out eventually on my page. But it's really, I'll repost on my stories and everything all the time. But yeah, Shots by Shay, check it out.
Check it out. Absolutely. Um, and then also too, I have last two things. One, I just want to say thank you for when you showed up to my premiere for Black Rose Wanders. I remember that's 2 years ago now, which is
Mhm.
just fucking crazy. But thank you, for showing up. Thank your homegirl Kelsey for showing up too. Like, I
Yeah.
really appreciated that for y'all supporting me. I appreciate you supporting me, all that you've done, and I hope that in the future I can, I'm able to bring you on another project. I've been planning a feature film that I want to shoot back in Angola for for the last 2 years now, and I've already kind of been trying to put specific people in my head in specific positions on set. And I was like, you know what? I would love for you to almost really just kind of document, a lot of just the, stuff that happens on set, kind of like being behind the scenes in that regard, and everything like that. So, hopefully in the future we have that opportunity to work again. You're always on my list to Rolodex. Now you still, you're out in Terre Haute. That's a little far from Angola, and some not too far
Yeah.
from kind of from Fort Wayne too. But regardless, I'll definitely make sure to reach out to you if there's an opportunity I have coming up.
Yeah,
And
I
then
appreciate that.
lastly, a question that I remembered finally was was you talked about being shy a little bit. Like, do you feel that at all in the space of how you're working now? Like, do you feel a little bit of shyness, a little bit when you're out there on the field working? Like, do you feel like even though you're all eyes are on these athletes and you're filming these people, do you feel like sometimes the all eyes are on you too?
Yes, definitely. And it's something that I just like, I have to give myself a little pep talk sometimes because, like, especially if I'm working with a new team, it's getting to the point now where most athletes know who I am. But, when I first started, it would be teams where they would just be like side eyeing me, like, who is this girl with the camera in my face following me around all the time?
Yeah.
So that was a little like, whoa, am I supposed to be in this huddle? Am I supposed to be over here? Am I supposed to be doing that? But it's a mentality I've just had to tell myself, like, just go everywhere, do whatever you need to do to get your shots. Like, no one's paying attention to you. I mean, maybe someone is, but not really. No
Yeah.
one cares. So
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
do what you need to do. But yeah, definitely still have my shy moments for sure.
Yeah, I feel it in those moments because, like, especially the last commercial I did, I felt like everybody was watching me, especially because I'm the only black person in half these spaces that I've been in back in Indiana. I just put everything on mute. I just put it like literally everything. Like I when I'm in those spaces, I realize that, one, I am the leader of what, like, if I'm doing a commercial for a company, I'm the leader of that set, no matter what. I'm the leader of that set when I get in there. But when I
Yeah.
get a lot of people just looking and asking questions and making comments or whatever, I put everything on mute. I'm just like, I'm here to work. I'm here to get the job done. I do not give a damn what anybody else is saying besides like my crew and the cast and the client. But even then, sometimes you got to put certain things on mute so you can get the damn thing done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, and then last and final question, something that I've always asked on my podcast guests is what would be your advice for someone who is in your situation? Like think about that person who you were senior year of high school, freshman year of college, senior year of college, going to Seattle like you did, kind of just trying to figure everything out. What would be your advice you would give to yourself back then from who you are now?
Mm. That's a good question. Huh. I guess it would just go back to the shy thing. I would just be like, don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Like 9 times out of 10, people are going to appreciate it more than, hate on you for it. Especially, I mean, for myself, being a woman in sports, like I'm usually the only girl in this space. So, it's only a handful of us. Like even with Division 1 athletics, there's not very many directors of video that are women. So just being able to like push myself and be like, you need to go out and be extroverted, be over the top, like just push yourself to your limit and past that because in the end it always pays off and you're gonna regret it if you don't. So that's what I would say.
Beautiful. That's awesome. All right, y'all. Y'all heard it. Shots by Shay on the socials. Shay Herbert, the homegirl. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you to everybody who's listening and watching, whoever you are. Make sure to subscribe to the Excellent podcast. Watch out for some new vlogs and new pods and stuff. And yeah, guys, we'll see you on the next one. Thank you, Shay.
Thank you.